What up, y'all? It's your boys, your favorite podcast, and your favorite podcaster's favorite podcast, the Loc'd podcast. We back in one more time. It's your boy Tom.
It's your boy CG.
It's your man Shaw. What's up, everybody?
All right, man. We back here with y'all one more again to give y'all everything that we have thought about within the past few weeks and give you our takes on a lot of the things that are going on. First and foremost, Shaw, we talked about it before the show, talking a little bit about free agency, signings, contracts, and most importantly, all the money that's being spread around these days.
Yeah, like we seen, man, the NFL look like they kind of turning a corner. There's a lot of guaranteed money that's being guaranteed to a lot of players. A lot of movement. It's almost looks like an NBA free agency this year. A lot of guys that we expected to be somewhere are now going somewhere else. The biggest one recently, Tyreek Hill, leaving Patrick Mahomes to go to Miami. It's almost like Kyrie leaving LeBron a little bit.
It really is.
We got Deshaun Watson going to Cleveland, Baker Mayfield stranded, Devontae Adams making his way to the West. So it's definitely a lot going on. So we'll see what you guys think about it.
I tell you this, the whole Devontae Adams joint, like that surprised me the most because why would you offer Aaron Rodgers that much money and his go-to guy, like you just basically like, yeah, now we're gonna see what you can do. Shaw or Tony, y'all might know, I forget his name, number 13. His go-to guy, like he was, I think it's the sophomore season, and he did pretty well. Lazard. Yeah. So it's almost like, he did do well towards the end of the season, but it's almost like they feel comfortable with what he can do, and that's those are big shoes to fill because Devontae Adams and he was on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. It almost looked like anytime they snapped the ball, it was gonna be back shoulder or like what it was always a connection. So
if something broke down, Aaron Rodgers knew where Adams was going to be, and Adams knew where to go. And right. I think that's interesting if you look at all the free agent and the rumors that were going on last season, going into this season with Aaron Rodgers. He wasn't sure. We don't know. Am I going to re-sign? Am I going to bounce? Like you finally just locked your quarterback up for long-term and big money, and you're going to get rid of his go-to guy. That was probably the biggest shock of all of this to me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Do y'all think Aaron Rodgers was shocked, though?
I think so. Because think about it. You're going to give me what I want, basically, and then it's like the way that it works, I don't like. I'm sure he probably didn't know the details of Devontae Adams, deal or anything. So it's one of the things where once he got his bag, in your mind, if they're gonna give me all this money, they're gonna keep me happy and keep the people that help the engine running. So I'm thinking that he probably didn't know, because if he did know, then I don't think at this point he would have took the money. He'd have went somewhere else. That what I'm saying? So.
Or he would have went cheaper so they could keep him, so they could keep Adams low key.
Right.
Like the New England formula. Everybody take a little, the Golden State formula. Everybody take a little less, and we could all have a little more collectively. But given as important, as integral as Aaron Rodgers is to that franchise, you would think that they would have to talk to him before they could make that type of decision, right? Like he would. Right.
That's what I'm saying, because it's like it's no way that goes. They just do that and nobody says nothing to Aaron Rodgers. Like,
but you got to remember too, like from with his standpoint and the front office, like they was shaky through like the whole past 2 seasons. So it's almost like
Devontae left.
Right. So, hey man, I'm telling you, it get real funny when you deal with contracts and how they throw different things at you, and like it's almost like, don't worry about that. We'll figure out with that guy, but he should be good. But then it's like, nah, it's not always what it seemed like. That's why I was surprised, because you would figure they would keep his go-to guy.
Man, Derek Carr must really be his man's.
Oh yeah, they college roommates, right? Or teammates, right?
I know, but the receiver, you rely on that quarterback.
Well, and if you're Aaron Rodgers, you've got to have a big promise that we can get a guy for you in the draft. right? We can get somebody either through free agency, trade and draft picks, draft day trades, something that's going to come in and replace the comfort and the production. Now, you might be able to replace the production, but that comfort isn't going to be easy to replace. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, and the Packers, I don't think the Packers really don't have a good track history with free agency and drafting people.
Do nobody want to go to Green Bay?
Who wants to play in the cold?
And it's a publicly owned team, so you're not really going to be able to cash out up there. Yes.
Unless they do some bake sales and sell some cookies. I'll play.
Sell some bikes out front of the stadium during training camp. We gonna sign these bikes.
They ride bikes to work up there. But yeah, so like Aaron Rodgers got the 200 M's.
Mm-hmm.
So he went 4 for 200. Patrick Mahomes a couple of last year, what did he get? 10 to get 500. Break down the same though. You're getting about what? What's that?
Right.
What they getting a year? About 20. Damn. What, 25?
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Right in there, yeah.
So would you yourself, would you rather have the 10-year job security or you hit for your 4 real quick?
I'd hit for my 4.
Yeah, okay.
10 years, anything can happen, bro.
Yeah.
If y'all can't put pieces around me, then here I am. I'm stuck with my greatness. I'm stuck, and then it's y'all just bringing bodies in and bringing guys around. I mean, and you look around the league, NFL specifically, there's been a lot of guys who have kind of been held hostage, with subpar talent around them. I mean, if you look at the Bengals back in the day, you had Carson, you had Chad, you maybe had a Rudy Johnson, and maybe a TJ, but who else did you have? Like, was the money there for all the pieces that you needed? We need an O-line, we need a defense. So, salary cap being what it is, you trust people to do what they should be doing with the money. But a lot of times when that big money gets thrown around, other pieces of the program come up missing. And they definitely come up missing late in the season and toward the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely going to be an interesting year.
I'll tell you this. So minus the allegations, he was acquitted, I think, of all of them. But Deshaun Watson. So going back when he was with the Texans, his go-to guy was D-Hop. And once they got rid of him, then they didn't have nobody, right?
Nobody.
So how do you guys feel about him getting, I think it's $238 million guaranteed? Was it like that?
230, 80s guaranteed.
Okay, that's okay. Guaranteed. So how do y'all feel about him getting picked up by the Browns and potentially Baker Mayfield sitting out this season? Do you think he will? Or you think somebody will pick him up?
Baker, he'll get picked up. I don't think he'll get picked up to be a starter right away. I think Baker he'll get in a situation, maybe a team that's on the fence about their quarterback situation, maybe, and get a chance to battle. Something happens, he'll come in and he on the sink or swim. But he'll get another chance. Number one overall pick is more so about what people will give up to get him, because Cleveland kind of messed up with that aspect on their trade because they took their value away from their asset already. Like, we're basically telling you we have a number 1 pick, but we don't want anything to do with him. And so if your team that's currently paying you has that feeling about you, why would I come in there and give up the barn for him, and you see him every day and you don't like him?
Do you think he can reconcile his career from this?
He's got to win.
You got to win, and you've been in a place where you haven't won, right? Where a little bit of success was treated in the way that a lot of success would have been treated in other places. Let's be clear. Like they were over 500. They made the playoffs and lost, right? The other year. And as a general manager, seeing all the antics that Baker has pulled with Cleveland, my worry would be, are you going to be a distraction? If we do bring you in here as a backup guy, as a potential starter, right? You can challenge for the starting spot. are you going to be a distraction? You've got more, I believe Stephen A. Smith said this, and it was hilarious, but it was true. You've got more progressive commercials than wins,
Right.
homeboy.
But
So,
see, I don't think Baker Mayfield was ever a distraction, right? Like he's not really that boisterous or out there like that. It's more so his expectations.
he got a coach fired.
But again, like I'm saying, his expectation, what everybody expected him to be, I think was a little bit too much. You get what I'm saying? The progressive, when you start being on TV every 5 minutes for every commercial that happens during a football game, now if you're going to be they're trying to make you the face of something, the face of a league, basically. So if we're deeming somebody that quality guy, all right, we expect you to win. Like you should have won a playoff game already. You guys should have been in contention, especially with the talent that they put around them. And I think that talent, it was easy. Odell was a scapegoat. Baker got a lot of excuses over his first few years in the league, and then now it's just like I think that the organization is just coming around to the terms like, all right, he's not that guy really. He's good. He's still a good quarterback, but he's not that.
I think they gave him the benefit of the doubt too long. If you look at, I mean, you've got Jarvis, you've got Odell, and you've got Nick Chubb.
And
you know what
Njoku.
I mean?
Don't forget about Njoku. He's a tight end.
Njoku at the tight end. And I mean, you can make the argument about the offensive line here and there. You can make arguments about the defense here and there, but we all know it's a quarterback-driven league. We all know it's an offense-driven league. And like Odell's exit or not, the way it came about, you can't argue with film. If he's streaking naked and you're forcing the ball somewhere into double coverage and he's wide open, I mean, so then that calls into, okay, can he read coverages? Okay, can he read defenses? Okay, is he hit with the game plan? Okay. So the Browns, historically being the dumpster fire of an organization that we've seen them to be. This isn't me being mean to Cleveland. Like let's be real about that. Can you take a guy? Shout out to Cleveland. Can you take a guy who did have pieces and couldn't find success with those pieces and bring him into your organization and hope for something different? If you are what are some of the outside teams? If you're the Chargers, if you're the Jags, if you're, you know what I mean? If you're one of these franchises that's been down bad, is Baker your potential savior at quarterback?
He's not a savior, but he could be a band-aid.
I was gonna say he could be a backup.
Yeah, he could be a band-aid. Like Seattle, right? Like Seattle don't have nothing to lose. Y'all don't got Russell Wilson no more.
Right. You got Geno, right? They still got Geno?
I think I'm not sure. I gotta check on that. But you got Houston, Seattle, you got the Washington team, the
Commanders,
whatever they call it. Yeah. I ain't gonna say the offensive word, but that's what I know them as. Who else? I mean, it's quite a Pittsburgh. Like they got who they get Mitchell Trubisky. Like he Baker's better than him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Mason Rudolph.
Right, he's better than all those guys. So, like I said, you got to give him. He's going to get another chance. It's just nothing now. Expectations are going to be, a little lower, and he won't have that much pressure. And I'm telling you, he should be all right. Ryan Fitzpatrick played in the league for almost 20 years, man.
This is true. This is true. Mike Glennon was a starter for a while.
Now, if Baker's name was Lamar, then I don't know. His career might be in a shaky spot, but his name's Baker. So,
right. The comeback kid. And I just wanted to throw this in there. I know it's not something we discussed, but speaking of Browns quarterbacks, Johnny Manziel has announced that he will return in the 7-on-7 fan control league.
Okay.
Shout out to him, man. Yeah, don't keep chasing the dream, man. Keep hope alive, man.
He said he no longer has his aspirations of playing quarterback at a high level, at a professional level, but he's friends with a lot of owners in that league. Quavo is one of those owners, and he just wants to go out and have fun. So shout outs to Johnny Football.
Shout out to Quavo.
Big facts.
Right.
um, looking at a lot of the money aspects, if you were a Deshaun Watson, if you were a Tyreek Hill, if you were an NFL player who suddenly came into more money than maybe you thought you would, or this is trade money, this is surprise money, what would be some good ways to make your football money last you longer outside of the game itself?
Invest in assets that's going to make you money. And there's numerous ways you can do that, especially when you got millions. You can buy apartment complex, you can buy a duplex, you can buy vehicles and rent them out as like you can get chauffeurs, like exactly, like there's so many things you can do when you have capital. And on top of that, if they were smart, they would make a business and get business credit and really be able to run it up, because having credit is more important than actually cash. So, but the biggest thing is when you have cash, you can get credit a little bit faster because it's easier to apply for, secure loans or secure lines of credit, to where, say, if you want to put down $20,000 of your own money and you buy something that's like $10,000 and you pay it off, and you do that thing about 3 or 4, even 5 or 6, 7 times. Now that looks good to like creditors. And while you're making money, whether you're making $20,000, 30 grand from an NFL check, by you going putting money back into the asset, it's almost like basically your money's working for you. And that's how you basically can like triple your money, if that, or even more. So personally, like, just, I don't want to be long-winded, but the biggest thing is investing in assets, getting LLCs, that way that if someone tries to sue you, or anybody have differences with you, they can dispute that separately, and you personally won't be hit by that hard. So biggest thing is just invest in assets and make sure you watch your money. Don't just give your moms and your play cousins and the money to do stuff. Like, you got to actually make something of it, because if not, the NFL career only lasts maybe 3 years, if that. So
right.
Yeah.
And I think a great example of that is Trent Williams. He played for the Washington football team, had brain cancer, put it off for a few years until it was diagnosed. But in the meantime, your man's made really big real estate moves, and just to be able to have, you hear it all the time as a kid coming up, what's your plan B? You got to have something to fall back on, right? And I think now more than ever, athletes come into the game knowing that, hey, the fame, the glam, the glitz, all of that, it doesn't last forever. I can't make a living after my playing days just on my name, and I need to make my money work for me while my money is heavy. So
yeah, I mean, like, everybody's playing Monopoly, right? So like CG was saying, credit is more valuable than cash. So if we look at this like a Monopoly game, if I got all the money, if I have all the money in the game, but I don't own anything on the board,
you're gonna pay.
I'm just gonna keep paying it
every time you go around.
Every time I go around, I collect 200 every time I pass go, but I might dish out 1,000 just to get back to right there. So definitely investing in things that can appreciate with value. I also saw, speaking of the Trent Williams, he was talking about how he bought a jet. Well, he bought a couple of jets, but he was explaining how he bought the first jet through the LLC, like how CG said, wrote that off as a heavy machinery, and actually put it into like a S corp, and wound up basically buying the jet 25% off, because he put that money to the side, wrote that off, got his tax refund back. So it's a lot of ways, especially people that's dealing with a lot of capital. But I mean, even the average person, once you realize that, cash is useless, really, just because of the inflation rate and all of that type of stuff, it's better.
It can be a liability if it's poorly managed.
Right. Like, you're losing out. The longer your money sits in a savings account, the bank is not doing anything but investing that money, and the bank's making the bank's making money off of your money, and your money is just going to stay the same. So that same 10,000,
you're making pennies off.
Exactly. You're
literally pennies.
Literally pennies on the dollar. So I mean, once more people start to figure that out, I mean, they'll probably change the system, but it is definitely better living that way. But again, even using credit, you still have to stay within your means. So if you got a credit card and you spending $5,000 a month and you only bringing in $3,000, that's you living backwards, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all about guns and butter.
Facts. Yeah. Hey, but I do want to add this though. You know, we're taught as a society that debt is bad, right?
Yep.
But the biggest thing is like the people, like you said, that have capital or people or rich people, they operate off of debt. Meaning, just like you said, so imagine if a rich person goes to the bank and they want to get a loan, right? But they don't have, they don't have cash behind it, but they got good credit, right? So the bank will basically look at that, or a lender will look at their credit and be like, oh, they're good. Give them whatever they want. So now the poor person, you put all your money into that. So imagine if you save like $50,000, right? And you want to take it all at once. You can't, because the biggest thing is banks will, for one, it's the penalty, and two, they won't allow that. Like you might have to make like an appointment to come get it. And the reason why is like a lot of times like they won't have that much cash to give one person at one time on hand, depending on what bank you're banking with. But they'll give that money to a rich person that's looking for a loan. But that's how they make money, because if they give them money to them, they'll get interest and they'll get that money back. So when, you know what I'm saying? So that's how the rich basically play with the poor people's money. It's crazy, but it's crazy because everybody that I know, I always try to get them into trying to be an entrepreneur, and I try to break it down. A lot of people think I'm talking crazy, because the biggest thing is when you take that middleman out, like whether it's a manager or it's a company, you take them out, now you're going to recoup 100% of the earnings, right? But by you doing that, you're going to take care of insurances, all the bills, all the other stuff. And a lot of people, they don't want to do that. So
they don't want to deal with the risk.
Right.
You're dishing more money out in order to receive more money back.
But at the same time, that's a short game. Like you think like, dang, I don't want to worry about this. I'd rather somebody just basically set my ceiling and I don't got to worry about X, Y, and Z. So whenever I have a conversation like that, it goes over people's head, because they're like, nah, or they'll be like, I don't know what I can be good at. And the thing is, like, anything that you're good at, for the most part, you can make money off of. As long as your brand or what you're selling is true and you know what you're talking about and you can help people, then you're going to make money off of it. But the thing is, nobody is willing to be uncomfortable and go through that type of stuff.
In the short term, you got to be uncomfortable in the short term to be successful in the long term. And every entrepreneur who's been successful, I feel like, has bet on themselves and done that. You know, if you look at the Warren Buffetts, the Bill Gates, I mean, folks was down bad. Like they wasn't always, at the tip of the top, so I think that's a personal decision for everybody. But if you are at a point to where you're tired of playing ball in the system as it exists, then it's certainly something to maybe look into, or at least
everybody should have one. I think everybody should have some kind of LLC, something. Even if you don't make a lot of money off of it, just have it, because that's basically having a brand new person. Like once you get your EIN number,
that's it.
Then you basically can build that credit up. Imagine if you got bad credit yourself, bad personal credit, but then you kind of
get business credit A1.
Your business credit. It's almost like if I can't get that loan, and on top of that,
loan, my business can get it.
Right, and on top of that too, if you're going to get lines of credit or you're trying to get loans, you'll actually end up getting more through a business loan rather than a personal loan, or through personal credit, or through personal we want to call it real estate type thing. So that's the way to go, man, for everybody, I feel.
Yeah, 100% agree, man. And like I said, a lot of people in our community is like you said, is so used to the cash. When you start making money as a kid, you start by putting that money in a shoebox or a piggy bank. Having it in your room
somewhere you could
touch
it,
you can see it, you could tangibly hold it. And so breaking out of that mode is difficult. Like even for myself, like first hearing about that, I'm like I had a credit card and just never used it because, like CG said, I don't want to be in any type of debt. Not realizing that me paying that debt back is
builds your credit.
building my credit rather than having this cash and, spending it on something that really don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Spend it on some clothes or something, and as soon as you wear the clothes one time is basically worth it.
And I think in the Black community, we all know people who have mismanaged their money or poorly managed credit, right? Mm-hmm. And my story is not that much different from anybody's story in that regard. But one thing, just while we're speaking on finances and financial literacy, one thing that my dad did, my parents and my dad especially did to help me build credit, he opened an account in my name. And we all know how that goes sometimes in our community. I don't need to say no whole lot about it.
Light bills, phone bills, cable bills.
but I'm still fly. You know what I'm saying? Got course taking gas in my new E-class. All right. But one thing that he did, and I was right around college age, 18. We opened a joint account. He opened an account in my name and his name. And one thing that he did for me that I'm grateful now as a homeowner at 34 years old is, we bought the things I needed for college. We bought the laptop. We bought the flat screen TV. We bought the couch. We bought these things on credit at the time. And if he had cash money, it was things that, your parents would have bought for you to help you get started anyway. But he bought those things for me on credit and paid it off. So now coming out of college, my credit score is up off Rippy. And I didn't have the same money we would have spent cash in the store for these things. He put together for me like that. And, I'm lucky to have a father like that. I'm lucky to have parents like that. That's not everybody's story. But if a LLC maybe is a step too far for you, these are small ways that we can build credit, buy manageable things and get it took care of. Buy manageable things and pay it off. And in that way, even if your credit ain't all the way together, you still building credit for your future, for your children. And that's just a way to set them up without having generational wealth. We hear generational wealth, generational this. We hear it all the time, but it has to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't already exist, it has to start somewhere.
Can I say something real quick? Hey, shout out to your pops, Tone. Like, really, that's a stand-up dude for that, for real.
He's a cool guy. He's a real cool guy. Shaw, I know you don't know my pops like that. CG, you know my pops pretty well.
Cool. He cool and fan, man.
That's real though, man.
If you see this, shout out to you, man. I haven't seen you in a while. Hey, I know you're still doing good. Tone looking good. No homo. That's my boy.
Nah, that's what's up, though, man. Like, even both of y'all, man, that's what's up. Like, both of y'all got like strong fathers that was with y'all and like guided y'all through, young life. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's what's up, man. Like me, myself, like my pops, not to say my pops wasn't there, but he wasn't physically there, a couple states away. So everything I learned was through, the old adage, reach your hand in the fire and get burnt. So that's what's up. But that's what's up, man. Being around y'all definitely passed that knowledge around too. So
just anything like is, and I had a mentor, a videographer that I learned from very early on in my career, and he would always say, "I don't know why anybody would ever want to, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't know why anybody would want to skin a cat. There's more than one way to do it." So I think when we're talking about finances and we're talking about literacy, everybody wants money. Everybody wants to have as much money as they can, as quick as they can. And, there's more than one way to do anything and be successful at what you're doing. So the more avenues that people are aware of, start small. It don't have to be a big investment. Bitcoin, right? Like, just buy some. It may go up, it may go down. Man, $5 worth of Bitcoin ain't gonna make or break nothing. But get you some. Get in the game. You got to start somewhere.
True. Definitely, fellas. Like, now I was gonna say, like, you see all my sneakers back here. More than half of these haven't been worn. So a lot of them I look at like they're investments. I mean, if I want to wear them, I can wear them. The thing is, like, I'm not gonna go into detail how I got them, but just know that they're gonna make me money, or they have made me money. So it's just one thing when like people see stuff and they don't know how you got it or how or why you how or why you got it type thing, and deep down it's like it's either an investment or what I bought is made me money because I could have used my credit card, my business, like things like, and again, I'm not gonna get into it. And,
you didn't maybe have to come out of pocket. You didn't have to be cash for these things.
Right. So a lot of times, you know, whether it's a lot of the clients that I have, they see that I have a lot of sneakers, and they always ask me like how do you do that? And some of them say like, well, I think I pay you too much as a joke. I'm like, I don't even use your money. Like literally, they're like, and they ask me, they're like, how? Like you got all these sneakers. I'm just like, for one, I get what I want and I get what I like, and I don't go too crazy on it. But I try to make an executive decision because I am, you know, a business owner, and on top of that,
the CEO.
Yes, and also like I'm into other things that make me money too, such as, you know, laundromats. But again, as far as like I'll tell you this, I'll go a little bit in that. I don't own a laundromat, but as far as a couple washers and dryers, you can make some money off of that. And I can tell y'all some stuff off camera about that. But I'm telling you, man, like, it's a lot of. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, not to cut you off, but you know, it's real easy to keep going and say more than you intend to. But you know, we've all seen the stories or heard the stories of the people who have bought their kid like a vending machine.
Oh man, listen, a vending machine. Right? That's vending machines make money, man.
My kid turned 16. And we've seen it on social media, and people say, "Well, why would you buy a kid a vending machine? They want a car. They're 16." You know,
those are the same people. Those are the same people you're talking to right now.
We've heard the peanut gallery comments, right? But residual income, right? Like mailbox money, right? Like making money while you're asleep. Like if you can pay to restock that vending machine, you know, the vending machine may not pay for itself in a month. Right, but
it's long term investment
in 4 months.
Really though, depending on where you at, and how much you're charging.
Yeah,
right. So
and what's in it, you know, and what's in it? Because just because it's a vending machine, don't mean you can only sell pops and candy bars and
That's the same thing when you see people buy like Rolexes. I ain't talking about the bust down. I'm talking about the plain Janes.
Those cost more.
They go up in value.
Right. Daytonas.
So look, fellas. So look, if you ever see me on this podcast and I got an Oyster Perpetual or I got one of those joints, you like, how? I'm like, look, we can have a whole podcast on this Rollie.
For the folks at home that don't know what perpetual means, that's the rollies that don't tick-tock.
They don't tick.
They don't. They just the second hand just go. Like it don't stop. It don't stop. And you wind them and you put them on and you go on. And anybody, Rolex especially, the amount, the number. And now you got me talking. The number of watches that Rolex makes as a company. Some are more valuable than others.
Yeah.
But you know, your Pepsis, your Coca-Colas, look up some of these nicknames for some of these watches. And you'll see how much they go for. The Prezzies, right? The Gold Oyster Perpetual, given to Dwight Eisenhower as a president, as a gift. And that's how it got the name, the Presidential Rollie. The band, don't get me started. I'm saying, watches are a safer investment if you buy the right watches.
You're almost better off buying that than a car. I'm trying to tell you.
Ain't no almost. It's gonna cost you more than one, but it'll sell for plenty when you need to cash it in. Ask John Mayer. Ask John. All right, from good investments, right? We spent that was our financial literacy section of the program. From good investments to bad investments. Let's move on to college basketball. Talking about Memphis. Fellas, the University of Memphis. Penny Hardaway, childhood icon to a lot of us. His name is now mixed up in NCAA scandal, NCAA sanctions and violations after an 18-month investigation in the recruitment of James Wiseman, who is no longer with the program. And it must be said that Penny was not with the program when these alleged violations occurred, even though he is now currently the head coach. Do you think that this hurts Memphis's brand as a program? But we've seen so many universities get hit with allegations, LSU, Louisville, to name a few. What are y'all's thoughts on any of that news that just came out a couple of days ago?
I only got one thing to say, and this is coming from the movie Paid in Full. People get shot every day. He be all right. They will be all right. So they may get a year, 2 year sanction, slap on the wrist, whatever, some money fine. They'll be back, and I think this won't hurt, Penny's. I don't think it'll hurt him because I think of the gesture it was the wrong time. Like it's a bunch of stuff that's into it, but I don't think it'll be that effective on the negative side in the long run for Memphis or for Penny.
Yeah, I feel like you talk about it. Does it affect the brand? It's right on brand for Memphis. Coach Cal,
right.
Coach Cal, before he went to Kentucky, he was at Memphis. Man, I don't know if y'all remember that team with Derrick Rose, Chris Douglas,
he had him.
Chris Douglas Roberts, and they was like that. I mean, Penny, it's tough now because a lot of the stuff that he got in trouble for is almost legal now.
Right. That's what I was.
Yeah. So it's weird, but like I said, Penny, he been getting it, man. That's an investment.
Hey, what? The boosters probably look at him like, that's it? Oh, man, you knew the town, bro. You be all right, man.
Right. Yeah.
You be all right.
Well, when you look at some of the bigger football programs, your Texases, your Ole Misses, where people have been, names have been thrown around. We know that money has exchanged hands. I think this is relatively small potatoes, even in the context of the scandal that happened at Louisville a few years back with recruiting players and the Adidas tie-in and all of that. But to Shaw, to what you said, a lot of this is almost legal now. At what point do you think, and this is an opinion question because none of us know, at what point do you think the NCAA will kind of let some of this stuff go because players are now able to, receive money for their name, image, and likeness and for certain brands and engagements and what have you?
They're gonna let all of it go. They got to. If a company gives me $100,000, right? They gave it to me. What I do with my $100,000 is nobody's business. So if that $100,000 winds up being able to get my mother a house or whatever, it is what it is. I really think this stuff with Penny he did it a little bit too early. Like if he waits 8 months, we're not even talking about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. And, he hasn't had the greatest success at Memphis, as a coach, as a recruiter. I mean, obviously he's in a tough spot with that program, being in the conference, et cetera, et cetera. Like it may not be, I think if you look at Memphis, if you look at a lot of those schools that are maybe they play in the AAC, if I'm not mistaken, the old Conference USA, I think they're in a tough spot as opposed to being between Power 5 and then being between the HBCU boom that
mid-majors.
You see what I'm saying? So they are a mid-major program. So you've got kids that could go, Power 5 that may not want to come to Memphis. And then you've got kids that maybe could come to a school like a Memphis, like a Cincinnati, like a Houston, and say, well, nah, the visibility is better at the HBCUs if I can't go to a Power 5. So I think that's more of a recruiting thing. But when we're talking about players receiving money, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with recruiting to me.
Absolutely.
So sticking with basketball, we'll keep basketball. Basketball, in news earlier this week, New York City has lifted its vaccine mandates. And that means one Kyrie Irving can finally hoop at home for the Brooklyn Nets. We've seen him play on the road. We've seen him hand out buckets on the road. We've seen a couple 50 balls go up on the road. How do you think these new lifted mandates, just in time for the playoffs? Playoffs be here in a couple weeks. Um, what are y'all's thoughts about this decision and how it affects Kyrie and how the Nets may improve with KD and Kyrie at home?
I think the whole mandate thing was stupid. It didn't make no sense because you got people sitting courtside that's sitting right next to the bench. They don't have a mask, and you got different cities that got different rules as far as mask, no mask, all that kind of stuff. So I think it was more political, trying to show a political stance per se. And I think by them lifting that whole mandate, that's gonna. Hey, that's almost my dog. Come on, man. But I think by them lifting, them lifting that mandate from New York City, it's definitely gonna enhance, Brooklyn's chances of making a run in the playoffs because with Kyrie and KD, both of them can score at will. So, and I feel like the kind of how they've been on the road, it's been kind of spotty, but you can see that there's this promise there. So now that I feel like that they can play at home now together, I think that's really gonna, going into the stretch of the playoffs is really gonna build more cohesiveness between them two and the team going into. So I think by them lifting the mandate is obviously a good thing, but I think it was a little too drawn out and a little too stretched to me because again, like I said, a lot of other cities didn't have that mandate and no one had any reports of COVID. So it was just weird to me, but kudos to them though.
Yeah, man. Kyrie stood on what he believed in, and at the end of the day, I mean, he won really. I think the Nets this definitely increases their chances of winning if they can get Ben Simmons to play basketball because that's the one thing that they missing. They need somebody that can play some defense, but I think they got a really good shot. But as far as the mandate being lifted, do you know what is also around the corner and probably why the mandate got lifted? The start of baseball season. And there are multiple.
It's crazy how I'm saying, I'm about to cut you off, but it's crazy how all this stuff is kind of like coming right after another. It's like fitting perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to say conspiracy. But...
It ain't no conspiracy. Listen, baseball is America's pastime. The Yankees is America's baseball team. The Yankees have star players on their team that are not vaccinated, and in New York, we know who's usually at the top of those corporations in New York. They not playing with that.
They too much money.
Exactly. I need a return on my investment. So that law had to get passed.
I think that's fair. I will play devil's advocate only to say population density, right? In the city of New York, right? Population density. Whereas a lot of other places are more spread out. But I mean, you got people on subway cars standing next to who's who going into work in their office. So in that regard, I could see it, for the Kyries, I guess you could say kudos to him, but we talked about this earlier when we first started doing our shows. Of all the things to stand on, you're going to go against what we know to be true and good for the sake of public health to make a point, to align with people who may not have your other best interests at heart. We'll leave that there. I'm glad he came up, and then let's not act like Kyrie ran away with the bag. Nah, your paycheck was cut in half, homeboy. So, if you can withstand, can you stand the rain? We've all seen BMF. If you can hold true to yours, and accept the financial losses that come with it, and you still come out being able to do what you want to do, then cool. However, who's to say they wouldn't be the 1 seed if things were different sooner?
I tell you this. It looked like Kyrie, just like you said, some of his money was taken. His paychecks is maybe a little lesser. But maybe he's at a point in his life where he's made enough money to where he's made businesses that's making him money, residual money. That's, you know what I'm saying? So by him earning more money by playing at home rather than standing for something that I believe in. And remember, your perception is how you view everything, and everybody's not going to view it how you view it. And some people just stand on certain things and like they'll live and die by it, no matter whether there's money involved or not. Because again, I'm sure he's a smart enough dude. He's a I don't think he grabbed it from Duke, but in order to go to Duke,
he went to Duke for half a semester.
That's right. Well, maybe I don't know if he might have like graduated like behind closed doors or something, but nah. But at the same time, though, I think you don't have to graduate college to be a smart intellectual individual. Nope. So I think how he's moving is almost like, and I could be wrong.
He was batting real hard for the earth being flat. Let's not.
That's it, but that's his perception. Like,
yeah, like
we can't.
We could disagree, right, like, so but he stand on everything.
Right. So it's almost like I don't have to agree with it, but I respect that he's going hard for what he believes in. So whether his money got cut in half or not, imagine if he would have flip-flopped. Now it's like, oh man, I knew he wasn't about that. Like, but now his character is kind of flawed. But since he's stuck through it and got all the backlash, and now he's able to play, it was bigger than money. It's more about principle. Like, this is what I stand on. Right. So now, right. So at the end of the day, I agree with both of y'all. I agree with Shaw because he stuck to his guns, and in that right, he won because it seemed like he's a person that is bigger than what's in front of you. It's a bigger picture. And on top of that, Tone, I agree with you also that you don't want to compromise your image and your money to get a point across, because at the end of the day, you got bills to pay and you got legacy you want to leave around, behind. So what do you want to have? So both of y'all like ain't wrong. So again, like different perspectives, so it's crazy. Right. And everybody can be right.
I just look at it in the context of Aaron Rodgers, right? We heard so much about Aaron Rodgers, and in comparison, we heard plenty about Kyrie too, but it just seems like Aaron Rodgers got way more flack than Kyrie did, and they both had the same stance. But I think Aaron Rodgers kind of lied though.
Exactly. Aaron Rodgers tried to deceive us. Aaron Rodgers tried to deceive us. Kyrie told us like what it is. Like, I'm not taking it
from jump.
Vaccination,
I'm immunized.
I'm not vaccinated. Yeah, I'm immunized. But what you mean by that? Was it R. Kelly? Was it R. Kelly interview? He's like, you like teenage girl? Like, what you mean like teenage?
What you mean by teenage?
Right.
Jeez, what you mean you ain't vaccinated? Nah.
I'm immunized. I'm not vaccinated, but I'm immunized.
Immunized.
Oh, boy. Hey, man.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Well, guys. Shaw, before we go, it is tournament season. We are still in March. In the last few days of March, we are down. Almost. We're down to the Final Four. Shaw, is there anything going forward that you would recommend for the people at home on how they can catch a bag off of this Final Four business?
All right, I say Peacocks. Sorry, go ahead.
So when it comes to the NCAA, my personal taking on that is I don't bet on children. It's too unpredictable. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. So with that being said, Duke. I'm gonna say Duke. Yeah, Duke. Coach K.
Can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with that. They back in it, so.
Duke versus the Peacocks.
You think the Peacocks will win it all? I tell you this: if the Peacocks win the national championship, I will give both of y'all $100. Matter of fact, I will give.
If the Peacocks win the national championship, I will burn every piece of Kentucky gear that I own. Full disclosure, I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky. I am a UK fan. I am not a big Coach Cal fan. I have supported this team for a very long time, and we've had a high level of success and have a high standard of excellence when it comes to college basketball. We are one of the blue blood programs, and I've been so upset. I have not watched a tournament game since the first night of the tournament.
What happened?
If the Peacock, just shut your mouth, Shaw. You know what happened. You was there. I'm not gonna say it out loud. If the Peacocks bring this thing home, I will video myself burning literally every piece of Kentucky gear that I own, because that would just be a bridge too far for me, personally, myself. And I don't know if they can get past UNC. Kentucky beat UNC by how many? Statisticians, look it up. Whoop that ass. So if the Peacocks, man, hey, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll light all this on fire. I promise.
He gonna light half his fucking house on fire. We know that already.
I'm gonna make a trip to Jersey this week, and I'm gonna go to St. Peter's.
For what? What you gonna do over there?
Motivation.
You gonna buy a sweatshirt? He gonna buy a hoodie? He gonna take it to a campus?
Like, motivate the team.
Are you in the football team?
Guys,
Yeah.
About to get this money. We got to get this money, guys.
I'm staring at a University of Kentucky football lamp right here off camera.
Let me smash that.
I'll give it to you, bro. I'll mail it to you. We could do it. I will mail it to you.
I'll draw it down. I'll be like, just let me break everything in your house. Just
so much, man. I've got jerseys in here. I've got probably 6 or 8 baseball caps. I've got hoodies. I've got everything. Man, look, every piece of Kentucky gear that I own will go up in flames if St. Peter's takes this thing home.
Everything.
I promise you that. You name it.
You should have burned it when they lost in the first round.
Hey, nah. Whoa. That's Cal's fault. You can't call a timeout. You can't. Nah. I don't overlook nothing. The game is going on right in front of your eyes. You can't call a timeout. You can't call a zone defense. Y'all can't break a zone, but you won't call a zone. Oh man, don't get me started. He thought because they
had length. No, wait, pause. That they'll be able to overcome in a big moment. But guess what?
How do you tell kids every game? We've heard this for years. Where everybody's Super Bowl. They want to beat us. They can't wait to lace them up against you. They can't wait to suit up.
But how long does that become? It's like we heard it before, whatever. Yeah.
That message, baby.
And then they gonna lose. Then they gonna lose.
Exactly.
You're gonna say, well, then they lose. And you say, well, they weren't ready. The environment was too big for them. You've seen this same environment for 20 years. Every season you've seen this environment, just about. But you can't. Your job as a coach is to do what?
Hey, that's why you don't bet on children, man. It's too unpredictable.
That's why you don't hire coaches who masquerade as coaches who are used car salesmen. And it's a shame. It's a shame that U of L, Kentucky's rival, for those at home who aren't keeping score, hired Kenny Payne, who was Kentucky's assistant coach for a number of years and one of the greatest recruiters as a head coach. Oh, it's terrible. It's awful. Oh, December is going to be so tough for us, buddy. You wait and see. But yeah, no. I'm not advocating for a change in coaching titles just yet. I'm advocating for a change in coaching philosophy, because this is about the 4th or 5th time that this problem in particular has bit this university in the ass since 2015. The Harrison twins, if anybody recalls, there's a certain young man who's taken the NBA by storm. His name is Devin Booker.
Torch.
3-point specialist.
He used to get off at Kentucky too.
He was taken out of the game. If you go back and look at the film against Wisconsin, him and Tyler Ulis, another point guard who had a cup of tea in the NBA, they were taken out of the game against Wisconsin, and I believe it was 2015. And we put these 2 kids in called Harrison twins, and Cal had promised their father that they would hoop. And I think one of them made it to the NBA. We don't know where the other one is. I don't know where either of them are. But
overseas,
Devin Booker got pulled from that game. And we know Devin Booker can sink it. Devin Booker's in the league. And where is anybody else? Like, don't get me started. It's a whole, you talk about a conspiracy. It's a lot on. No pause, as CG would say. The Northeast, we bring the Northeast in this. Pause, but there's a lot of meat on that bone. Okay,
no freaky.
But yes. Hey, Shouts out to all y'all at home. Thank y'all for watching, hanging in there with us. Thank y'all for sticking through the program. We have a good time doing this for y'all. We hope that y'all have a good time watching it. As always, we try to bring y'all the best that we can do on any given day, and we hope that y'all are staying safe at home. For the Loc'd Podcast, it is your boy Tom.
CG.
I'm sure I'll stay locked in.
Hey, we out of here, man. We catch y'all on the next go around.
Wakanda forever. No, no. Gracias. No.
Oh shit.
The fucker.